Check this out.
Welcome to BLPA Big Show. Hockey sports, life for the adult athlete.
Yeah.
Powered by the Beer League Players Association.
Better follow me.
Follow us, the BLPA, on every social media outlet. Follow the crew on Twitter at Nicker Jones.
Let's get it. Here we go.
Welcome to the greatest sports show in the world. Good week, everybody. Coming to you live from the BLPA mobile studio, a.k.a. the back of my Explorer. I'm here with my good buddy Jason. Jason, what's going on?
What's going on, Nick?
Just hanging. I had a bunch of some FOMO this weekend. We had the Philly draft experience, and I didn't go because I was trying to be a smart businessman, real smart businessman. So I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to go to that. We'll talk about how that went down. But other than that, I had a bunch of tests ran today on my belly because I'm having some issues. The doctor thinks that I could be lactose intolerant.
Oh, no.
Which is
That's horrible news.
Yeah, which is bullshit because I love milk. I love cheese on my pizza at Blaze. So literally I took this, it's like 3-hour test, right? Like they give you this big old fizzy drink and it sucks already because my stomach only hurts in the mornings. Like when I wake up, my stomach is just it's the pain is unreal. And so that's the only time that my stomach hurts. And then once I eat, I'm better, but I am gassy. And anyway, so we're just trying to fix that. So I couldn't eat anything for 12 hours before. So at 9 o'clock last night, I had to shut her down. No eat, no drink, no food. Couldn't take my medicines. And then so I get up there at 9 o'clock and I'm starving. And my stomach hurts because I haven't eaten, obviously. And then I got to drink this big old fizzy drink that tastes like shit. It's not even cold. And I have to chug it. And then I got to get my blood drawn. And then chug the drink. Wait 30 minutes, blood drawn again. Wait 30 minutes, blood drawn again. An hour and get my blood drawn again. So by the time I'm done with this shit, it's like 12:30. And I'm fucking starving. I'm fucking starving. And you know what's right across the street from where they have this blood work? Blaze Pizza. So where did I go? Loaded up on lactose.
There you go. Well, I mean, it was almost like they gave you a trophy at the end of a hard-fought battle.
Well, I think what it is like, okay, well, if I'm lactose intolerant, I'm going to eat all the lactose I can until they actually tell me I'm lactose intolerant. But here's the kick. I'm not a doctor. I'm a scientist. But my doctor opinion is that I'm not lactose intolerant because that drink didn't make my belly hurt or anything. And usually, like, if you're lactose intolerant, don't after you eat lactose, doesn't your belly hurt and all that shit? Like, to me, like, and I know there's differing levels, but, like, my belly doesn't hurt during the day after I eat cheese or milk or whatever. It hurts in the morning, right when I wake up. It's painful as fuck. Sometimes I have to make myself puke to make myself feel better. And sometimes I just have to eat a banana laying in bed, a little breakfast banana in bed. I mean, that's how champions start their day sometimes. Or sometimes just get up and eat some Rice Krispies or some oatmeal, and it eventually feels better. But so I don't know. But I guess we're going down the list of things because I've been on 2 different acid medicines for acid reflux, Nexium, pantoprazole, out of whatever. And they're not helping, so now we're at the lactose intolerance test, and I don't know. She said that there's like a bacteria. I'm thinking it's the H. pylori or pylori or something, and a lot of people mentioned that in the group today. She said that she could test me for that. It could be that, but I have to go off my stomach meds for a month. And I'm like, whoa, so it's going to get worse? No thanks. She's like, well, then if it's not lactose intolerance, I'll just treat it with antibiotics and see if we can kill it, but it's going to be rough. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's already rough in the morning, so what am I going to do? So
Sounds brutal.
Yeah, it's been a day, and then tomorrow, I mean, just because I guess I'm getting old as fuck. Tomorrow I got knee scans for the back of my knee that's been bothering me since I guess it's been since where did we play? Cincinnati. So I was in Cincinnati, got hit in the back of my leg with a puck, and then a month and a half later, the back of my knee started hurting. So now it's just out of nowhere, here my knee. Anytime I just stand up or sit down or try to lift up that leg. It hurts, so I got to have a knee scan tomorrow. And then Thursday, because I'm turning 40, I got to get the old stress test and a little prostate exam. So it's a week of fun for me. It's a week of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
The body is a mystery, and the old body is even more of a mystery.
It's incredible. And you know what? Here's the the doctor's like, yeah, let's schedule these. You're gonna have to wait to get them. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll put in the requisition forms, all right, the TPS reports, whatever you got to do, and then I'll wait. And then all three of these people called me the next day and said, let's get it done next week. And I'm like, all right, let's load them up before I go to Iceland, so I can know if this is a farewell trip, or I've got something to live for after the fact. So,
man, well, I don't envy you, that's for sure. Other than the Blaze Pizza.
No, and guess what? That Blaze Pizza was good as fuck. Oh boy, have you ever had that blood orange lemonade there?
I have not.
Oh fuck, dude, it's so good. Listen, I'm diabetic. I shouldn't be drinking it. So what I do is I get like just one big mouthful in a cup, like just a little squirty squirt, and then I drink it, and it's just so good. I would literally drink it until I slipped into a diabetic coma, but because I'm an adult, I'm a man, I'm 40 almost. I don't do that, but I wish I could, and that's how good it is. You got to try it next time you go. But I had that Blaze. Oh, that Blaze pizza is so good. When is Blaze just going to sponsor us?
I don't know, but they need to.
Like, listen to this.
Soon.
BLPA Blaze Bash. The Blaze BLPA Bash. Blazing with the BLPA. Like, the opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
I
mean, this Blaze, reach out to us. We'll figure it out. We'll make this thing work. It'll be a success for sure.
And then we're on a nationwide tour, just doing live podcast in Blaze Pizza while we eat. Yeah. Because it's like this.
I'd quit my job for that.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to pay us, of course. But I mean, you're working with a conglomerate, right? A multi. Well, maybe it's just only one nation. I don't know if they're outside of the United States. But Brawny Brawn's involved, So what are you gonna do? Brawny Brawn, hit us up. Let's go. I mean, we don't talk basketball, but you gotta reach out, Brawny. You can't just do all hoops. Come talk. I mean, we're talking all sports. We talk college football all the time. I get yelled at for it because no one here fucking cares about college football. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's got to diversify for sure.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Pro basketball, beer league basketball. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Hey, I can make it rain from outside the arc, bud. If nobody's covering me and I'm all alone in a gym, I'm 60% for sure.
There you go.
60.
Yeah. I also can hit, some shots if nobody's on me. Otherwise I'm in trouble. Like, you put me in the arcade basketball game, I'm draining them.
Yeah, that's where you just have to you just got to get a rhythm and a flow of just kind of yeah, that's a good one. You know who's really good at basketball? My dad.
Really?
My dad is a hooping son of a bitch. And he's short like me. But he's just a hooping son of a bitch. Like, he grew up playing basketball. He was running in the crew. That's all I hear is old basketball stories. Like the one time he saved up to buy his very first pair of suede Converse shoes, and the first game someone stepped on him and ripped him, and he punched him right in the face and broke his nose. That's a story.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad's ultra competitive. Like, I was ultra competitive when I was playing like baseball. I'm not ultra competitive really anymore with hockey because I know my role. But I mean, this is how competitive my dad was. We used to play obviously 21, right? That's what you play. So we'd be in the driveway playing hoops, and I could never beat my dad. My dad really good. Like, it just was one of those things. Could never beat him, and I was beating him. I was on game point, as a matter of fact. Game point. He has the ball. He's down. I think he's down 3 or something like that. And I tell him, I said, I'm got game point, bud. I'm coming for you. I'm saying, hey, the students are past the teacher. Here we go. Let's go. You know what this motherfucker does? He throws that basketball just straight up in the air. I look up for it, and the next thing I know, I'm on my back. He slams that motherfucking ball in my chest, and I get up going, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. He goes, you can't breathe? You forfeit. I win. And he walks in. Never played with me again. Yeah. So I never got to beat him. And then I was a wrestler, and I think I was pretty good, a wrestler. But I only wrestled for a couple years, and we just get in that floor and we'd wrestle around. And one time I it was called the Fat Man Roll. I'm fat, right? So like you just lock him over, roll him over, and I thought I had him pinned. He fucking punched me right in the side of the jaw, and I roll off of him. He said, "Still didn't pin me," and then he left. So I just never. You ever have a dad? Was your dad like that?
No, like my dad's competitive too. He played college baseball, and he rarely let me win, but he wasn't as savage as your dad.
Yeah, my dad my dad never came and watched my sports either, which was always weird. And he just said, and I asked him as I got older and adult, and he's like, you took it too serious, and I didn't want to see you in that. Like if you lost or if you did something wrong, I didn't want to deal with it because he coached my brother growing up playing
Right.
baseball, but he never coached me, never came to my games. And he's like, well, your brother, like all he does is pick his ass or pick flowers out in the outfield, so it wasn't serious. Like you were serious and wanted to win. I didn't want to let you down as your coach, and so. But yeah, my dad was ultra competitive. So I bet like everyone that played like competitive sports growing up, if their dad also played competitive sports, probably their dads are all the same. All the same.
Yeah, yeah. Like my son doesn't play sports, but we wrestle and do other things, and I almost never let him win either. Like I pretty much take it to him, and then it's a good learning lesson for him.
Well, I think I'm getting to that. But like me and my son, I have this thing like now, like where he like when he doesn't want to go to bed, I'll challenge him to a race up the stairs, and I always let him win at the end. But I'm always thinking like, is this the time when I need to flex on this little guy or what? But like today he was swinging like those little like tin cans where you unscrew the top and all these things pop out of them. Well, we found one from like the 70s. Like we were just cleaning up stuff, and it was and all this stuff. And so it's like the heavy duty ones, like it's like real thick metal inside of these things, like when they actually built stuff to last back in the 70s. And he had this thing, and he was hitting me with it, just playing, like he wasn't being malicious, but it hurt. And I told him to stop a few times, and he didn't do it. So I grabbed it from him, and got him one really hard, and it hurt him. And I'm like, oh geez, here it comes. Now it's gonna be the competitive dad side. Now I'm never going to let him win. If we wrestle, I'm always going to have to pin his ass. So I think we're moving towards I can't let my little guy win anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's like I said, I generally don't let him win, but occasionally I will. But like we wrestle now, and he's almost 12, right? So like he can pack a punch. Like when he hits me square, like it's good. So there's been a couple of times where he's in the same thing where he popped me one good one, and I had to show him like, all right, you got me, but just know at any time I can turn it on, and you're in trouble.
I'm gonna go with the old man strength on you. Yeah, and that's the thing because they don't. I think like I don't think they do it maliciously. Maybe they do. Maybe like, oh, I'm gonna show my old man a lesson here. But I was never like I don't think I was ever like I want to hurt my dad. So I don't think they mean to hurt us, but they just don't realize that, hey, that shit does hurt. But yeah, so but you know what? If you can stay healthy enough until he gets in the beer league, you can show him what's up on the ice, bud.
That's true. I don't know that he'll ever play hockey, but if he ever does,
well, guess what?
I'll be ready for him.
Guess what? That means he'll never be better than you at hockey. So
it's true.
So.
True.
So anyway, lots of things to talk about. Obviously, we want to talk about Philly. Want to talk about a beer league bucket list because we do a lot of things in hockey. So we should talk about what we actually want to do. And it was spawned from an idea or a post I saw that was just a self-serving bullshit post from a hockey Gestapo company that just tries to extort people. Not my words. This is what I was reading in the comments. And it got me to thinking, like, well, this is a pretty good article if it just wasn't promoting USA's hockey shitty tournaments, right? So, and I don't even know if I can even say that because what happens if it comes a day when USA Hockey wants to work with BOPA? So, I have very little experience with USA Hockey, but we'll talk about this a little bit as we get on here. We'll talk about, obviously, we got some Dexes coming up. Talk about the BOPA bashes coming up. Talk about how your team can win an entry into the BLPA bash. for free. You just gotta listen to find out how. Then we have some interesting tweet. I can't remember what this hockey guy's name is, but he's got weird hair. I see him on TV all the time, and I'm sure people will know who it is when I say weird hair. Do you remember who it was? That tweet?
Gord Miller.
Yeah, is that the guy with the weird hair? Maybe, I don't know. Shit. There's so many of them now. But he had an interesting tweet that I found pretty interesting, and I like the concept, so we'll talk about that. That's our NHL chatter for the day. And then I said we were going to talk about ODR necessities last week, but here's the fact of the matter. I wanted to get out on the ODR to do a little content there. It's been minus 30 plus for like 2.5 weeks straight, so I haven't been on the ODR, so I couldn't get to that. But the number one necessity is beer. So you got to have beer at the ODR. And I posted a photo in the BLPA today of, beer can be too cold. And when it starts getting slushy and you can't get it out of the can, you got to have something to start a fire at the ODR so you can warm that shit up. And you're not going to have toasted beer, but you just want it to be liquid enough to drink it, to make you feel good, So
yeah, and there's definitely nothing more frustrating than having a beer and then it being slushy and you can't drink it. Like, it's here in my hand, but there's nothing I can do with it.
But is it not the best ever when it's like when it just turns to that slush, like it's just starting to turn, so you have like little beer ice in there, and it's that's the best. Same way with like soda. Like if I could find a way to get soda right to, if I get my pop right to that point where it's starting to freeze, but it's still liquid, but it has ice chunks, that would be something. But that would be that's the only way I want to drink it. It's just hard to get it there. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to get that perfection.
I left a bottle of Diet Dr. Pepper, a 2-liter bottle, on my garage floor that's concrete or cement, as we say in Oklahoma. Maybe it's just me that says it that way. But I left it there, and it was there for 6 days, and it reached that point. And it was so – I wanted to just chug the bottle, but my wife told me I couldn't because that's unsightly. Well, I think you can chug. I mean, I probably drink 2 liters of soda in a day. Like when you're at a all-day college football thing, you just drink it. I mean, Dallas Stars, you get that extra large and you get a free refill, and it's literally like 2 liters of pop each time you go for a refill. So
it's a lot of soda.
I do love me some soda. Maybe that's what's wrong with my stomach is I've just drank so much soda in my life.
Your lack of water intake and your abundance of soda is probably doing it.
It's like 80% water. Like, come on, I mean, what do you want me to do? It's the same way with beer, right? So, but anyway, Philly Dex this weekend. I wasn't there. I'm super sad, but electric as fuck from what I'm hearing. The most chatter that I've heard about a tournament online after the tournament. So people must have been loving, like the pictures of the arena outdoors. It just looks so amazing. There's just a fire going out there. Like, holy shit, bud. Like, it was something. It snowed the night before in Philadelphia. It was magical, and I had to miss it.
Yeah, I'm super bummed as well because it was one that I was supposed to go to last year, and it didn't go. And then I just didn't sign up for it this year because of Iceland. And so, yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Super bummed that I wasn't there, but super stoked for all the people that had a really good time over the weekend.
The uniforms were rad. Those Rocky uniforms were badass.
Yeah, they looked great. Yeah.
And I got so FOMO'd that I made a game. Did you see the game?
I did not. Was it on Facebook?
Yes. I thought I posted it in the group too. I said, you know what? If pros can do fantasy hockey, why can't we do fantasy hockey at a draft experience?
Turn it up. If you're digging the show, support us through patreon.com/BLPA.
The most greatest.
So what I did is
I'm with.
Yeah. Did you see? You didn't see this?
I'm with it. No, I didn't see it, but I like it. Like, I like the idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an innovative idea that I've had and I created. It'll be another company's innovative idea soon, I bet. But no. So here's what I did. I literally I got the draft rounds done super early, and I made a spreadsheet, or I made like a Google form, and each question was a multiple choice. You could pick one, and it was the people in the draft. So you could go through and pick your team from the round. Like you could pick your your team, and obviously it was very crude. It was, goals, assists, penalty minutes, and wins. Those were the only stats we kept.
Okay.
It was 1 point for every one of them. And people are like, well, penalty minutes are worth 2. I'm like, PIMs rarely happen. All right, it just doesn't happen very often. Like we might have had 12 penalty minutes in all 15 games. So, but anyway,
Right.
Then I got with my buddy that's also helping us with the NFTs, and I said, here's what I want to do, and he just built some formulas, and then all of a sudden all I had to do was go in after the fact and add the stats to each player, and it just auto-populated everyone's team, and we kept track all weekend. It was super fun.
Who won? That's all I care about.
Michael Teeters won. I think he had like 78 points over the weekend.
Okay.
Which is pretty solid.
Yeah.
And he won a $150 draft experience gift card, which is awesome. But what he really won was bragging rights because he won the first ever draft experience fantasy hockey challenge, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. So my question is, are you going to be doing this at all Dexes going forward?
It's a lot of work. I want to, for sure. I want to. I did get some bad feedback as well, and I want to get your thoughts on the bad feedback. So someone just pointed out, drafts are supposed to be for fun, which they are for sure, and this could cause a feeling of ringers having to run up the score for their fantasy stats, and also it can embarrass the people that don't get picked on a team and that don't put up points.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I could see the ringer thing, that a ringer feels like, that they need to put up more for their fantasy stats. But really, I mean, the reason we have ringers, right? If we wanted to just have tournaments where nobody scored, we just wouldn't have ringers, right? Like that's what they're there for.
True.
So I think that's okay. Like your ringer should want to score for your team anyway. And you said we were giving points for assists.
Yeah, and we have a ringer rule too. We have a 3-goal rule.
Yeah. So there you go. So really all that's getting your ringer to do is to make good passes, right? After I get my 3 goals, I want to get as many assists as I can. So I'm going to start distributing the puck and make sure that I'm setting people up for goals. So I like that. And then as far as the shaming part, I guess, you're upset if you don't get picked or if you don't put up points. Like, as someone who's really bad at hockey, and I am, I just think you're a little too worried about it. Like, who cares? Who cares, what people think about your hockey skills? Like, that's what the BLPA is about, right? Like, everyone can come out and we can all have fun together, regardless of skill level. And then just go out and have fun. It doesn't matter, right? If somebody picks you and then they're mad at you because you didn't get points, really that's on them for making the pick, and they're even more of a shitty person if they make you feel bad.
Well, I think that's the thing, and I told them. If I ever heard people berating people for not scoring points for their fantasy, I would kick them out of the group and the turn. Like that's not what it's about. For me, I just think it's fun engagement. It leads to obviously engagement, trash talk. So many people were on the website this weekend just checking out the stats, watching because we do have live scoring, so people can watch that and talk about it, which was really cool. And I think it just gave people something to talk about. I mean, for me, the thing is like 60% of the people at the Philly Dex had never been to a Dex before, so no one knew them. So even me, I didn't know them. So obviously I picked Peck and I picked Dan and I picked Randy. So if I lost, I could blame it on them. Perfect, right?
Which is smart. Smart on you.
Smart move. Yeah. And if they win it, okay, well I won too. Like, what do you want me to do, right? It's just called hedging your bets when you're money lining, And so,
attaboy.
See, that's what I'm doing, bud. I'm learning.
Yeah.
And then it got me into thinking like, okay, I know it's beer league hockey. It's not exciting hockey, okay, except for the people that are playing. But this could be a new element that could make it. That could not exciting, but could just build a community, right? And
sure.
I think that I was like, what if we live streamed all the games, and people could tune in and see how their fantasy players were doing? Because at the end of the day, the draft was created because we wanted to feel like we were pros at some level. I know we're not, but we wanted to get up on stage and get drafted like we were in the NHL. And so who doesn't want to be on someone's fantasy team? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you think about fantasy football guys are playing and picking themselves or their friends, and then they're pro players chirping their buddies because they didn't have good days off for their fantasy team, right?
Exactly. And then like you're in. So the way that works is you should be in a round with similar skilled players, right? So it's not like you're going to be in a round where someone picks you. Or, theoretically you shouldn't be, and then somebody else in your round scores, 15 more goals than you do or something crazy. Like, so as someone who isn't, again, great at hockey, like would make you feel even better when you score a goal. Like, man, not only did I score a goal for my team, I scored a goal for all my fantasy owners out there as well. So I think that's rad.
Shout out to the fantasy owners, But
that's right.
And also, like, I didn't publish everyone's team, so no one knows who picked who. No, you know what I'm saying? Unless like me,
right.
I posted my team and I tagged every single motherfucker and said, if you fucking don't score, fuck y'all. That's what I did, but not everyone did that, right?
right, yeah.
Literally
for the most part, people weren't berated. Just your team.
Just the guy that came up with the ideas doing the berating, all right? And mine are all my friends who obviously suck because I didn't win,
Yeah. Well, my request is that you do it at least one more time, and do it at one that I'm at, so I can draft myself on my own fantasy team.
Well, I'm going to do it in Iceland, and you're not going to be there.
Well, yeah. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
So I guess what are we talking? We're talking Lake Louise. Did I hear today there might be a Limbacher sighting in Canada, north of the border?
I did get the actual approval from the wife to go. But I don't have anyone to stay with. So I'm trying to figure that part out. I don't know anybody else that's going. So, I can always get a single room.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it.
It's Canadian dollars too. It's a 30% discount.
Yeah. I think they basically pay me to come.
Exactly. They want them tourism dollars. Hey, and listen,
That's
here's the deal. You're also up in the mountains, so the air's 30% thinner. So you shoot the puck 30% harder.
Okay.
So
perfect.
your fantasy people need to keep that
3 miles an hour to 4. That's pretty good.
Exactly, and so fantasy owners need to keep that in mind. You also skate 30% faster.
Okay.
So,
but I also get 30% winded quicker, which is already when I'm tying my skates.
Listen, I don't like. This is the year of positivity, Jason. I don't know if you heard our listeners.
Okay.
They want us to be positive, and so they don't want to hear about the negative stuff. And I'm on board with that this year. But if you do come, you obviously got to come to Calgary, and anyone that comes through Calgary on, let's say, Wednesday night or Thursday early afternoon, we're going to Big Cheese Poutineria.
Okay.
And we're going to have the notorious PIG.
Okay, what is that? Can you give me some more?
Okay, so you know what poutine is, right? Like poutine is
of course,
obviously God's golden French fries with cheese curds smothered with brown gravy. That's poutine. It looks disgusting, but it tastes amazing. But when you
what is the notorious PIG?
Well, when you go to a poutineria, they don't stop at just putting cheese and gravy. They have a plethora of options, and a notorious PIG has on it not only the cheese curds and cheese curds and gravy. It has bacon, it has sour cream, it has kielbasa sausage, and other shredded pork. But it's so good, and you don't have to get the notorious PIG. That's just my favorite. They have like 30 different poutine options.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you're selling me.
Yeah, and then we're out in the mountains. We're gonna be outside, a big old fire blazing. It's gonna be something else, bud. I'm telling you, it's gonna be something else.
All right. Well, maybe you'll catch me. Maybe you'll catch me in the Lake Louise.
And there's only 8 spots left, so.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Because we can only do 4 teams there. We can't go any bigger, just because of the rink. That's all the time that they will allot us is enough to do 4 teams. So. That's what we're gonna do.
Gotcha.
All
right. Well, I'll make a decision this week, I guess.
Yep, exactly. Hey, by the way, we reached our goal on VIP mystery boxes. They're not mystery boxes; they're just VIP boxes. But no one knows what's in them. No one knows other than a T-shirt, special T-shirt plus other goodies.
So it's technically mystery.
Yeah, but here's what my thing, and my wife yells at me all the time. Like, I have like the first 4 or 6 months set of what I wanna give, but like I get samples of things, like just the nature of being the commish and people want to work at the BLPA, they just send me and I'm like, just throw it in random boxes, give people surprises. And so like I have so much like just random shit going, and my wife's like, people are gonna expect that every single month, and I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm just throwing it in there. I got like random boxes with blade shades in there. I got it's just and I'm like, okay, I know I said 2 jerseys, but I got 4 or 5 jerseys. Just to toss them in random boxes. Let's go. And so I'm super stoked about that. Other than it's a lot of fucking like, I want to get to 500 boxes. My next goal is 100 and then 250. We're at like 62 or something like that. You know how hard it is to fucking make 62 boxes of shit? Like it's fucking so time consuming. And here I am like looking at it, I'm like, I got this, dude. My wife's like, hey, those boxes got to get out this week. And I'm like, fuck. But luckily my wife loves supporting the things that I do. And, I have to, be nice to her, and she'll help me.
Yeah.
And so she's been we've folded almost all the boxes up, and now I pick up the shirts tomorrow. The only thing I'm waiting on is I made these like badass like die cut metal BLPA membership cards, and I don't know if they're gonna be here on time. Like they keep where I ordered them from, they keep slow playing me on the tracking, so it makes me think probably not gonna have them till next month. But they're just awesome to have, right? Like, I have this metal die cut membership card, and it has like your own membership number that's good for your Dex Tourney discounts. And so, like, I wish they were here for number 1, but I'm gonna have to say they're probably not gonna be here until the second one. But I'm super stoked about all the possibilities. The possibilities are endless here of things I could add into there, and just like the random stuff that. Like I said, hey, if we get here, we'll get to this number. And, a special somebody who's on the other end of this phone call for this podcast decided that he was going to buy some Iron Man hockey gloves.
Yeah.
But he wanted to make sure that he didn't miss out on this auction, so he went ahead and won 4 of them.
Yeah. A little bit of a mistake there, but as anyone knows, when you're going on an auction, there's such thing as like a bid snipe, right? Like you get outbid right at the very end. So I bid on 4 separate pair of gloves, thinking like, oh, that way if I get bid sniped on a few of them, like I'll still get a pair. I didn't get bid sniped on any of them, so all 4 gloves are on their way to me as we speak. And
so Jason said, if you hit your goal, bud, we're gonna throw some Warrior gloves in there, Iron Man gloves. Yep. I'm like, okay, let's go. What happens if you win them? Just every month, we just get to keep giving those same gloves away if you keep winning them. So I'll
just send them back.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about that. I'm just super. Is there anything like what? Obviously, there's going to be a shirt, right? There's going to be a shirt in there. What kind of stuff do you think would be cool to get in a BLPA VIP box?
Man, I don't know. Like, obviously, like you said, some samples and stuff. Like, I think it'd be cool to get like you said, the 6 sunglasses would be cool. I don't know. Like, I'm very like go with the flow with these, and I subscribe to a lot of boxes, so like maybe that's just the me thing. Like I have a problem maybe.
Yeah.
But I always like just like whatever. Like I get super excited over the smallest stuff. So like I know you laughed at me when we started doing Dexes, and like there was a patch at every tournament, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Where most people are like, oh, a patch, that's cool. I'm like, this is the best. So I don't know, man. I'm stoked for whatever comes there. Now I will say, as being the person who signed up for the very first box, make sure your wife knows that when you guys are putting stuff in there, and maybe give me a little something extra. Being the very first one, I feel like deserve a little something.
Yeah, well, definitely there's going to be. I have one box in mind for you on things that I'm ordering to put like for the shirt of the month. There's a special one that I'm like I have to do this just because Jason is subscribed to a box. But
Perfect.
it's gonna have
See,
to
and that,
it's gonna have to be like a summer
that's
one.
yeah, that's respect though. That's
Yeah.
respect for the first ever
For sure.
signer
Well,
upper of
for
the
everyone. Like
BFP boxes.
I see these people that register, and obviously I know so many of them just personally, and I'm like, oh shit, this guy's getting a box. I gotta figure out something that definitely just speaks to him, right? And so I like it's like my wife's like, what are you doing? Like, aren't you supposed to be working on this? I'm like, no, I'm writing down cool stuff to get for the box, and then she's like. Oh, you're not very good with your time management. I'm like, no, I'm not. That's why we need to make a bunch of money so I can hire somebody. But
Exactly.
we don't make that much money. So, but if we get to 500 boxes, I could probably afford to have someone to fulfill them. But really, what's been happening is I've been like trying to source like, because what people don't think of is like, oh, it's 50, but $50 is a lot of money a month for a box. But
Yeah.
like people, like I say, what you guys don't understand, like shipping a box is like $12, between 10 and $12. So, like right now, you're down to $38 of what you can put in there, and still
Yep.
not go over. And then like if you think about a
Right.
T-shirt, if someone bought a T-shirt from our store, it's $30 plus $5 shipping. So, it's like what can you add to make it worth more than 50, but also do it to where you're not spending over. $40 a box, so you lose money. Because that's my problem. Like I want to jam everything I can in there, and my wife's like,
Right.
you can't put. It can't cost you $100 to sell a $50 box, and I'm like, yeah, I guess
that won't work for very long.
Yeah, I mean it's fun, right? I mean it's like okay, well I get it, but we are having to move into a space, because of these boxes, like not a big space. Like I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I rented out a little. Like there's a guy that has he does hockey jerseys, but he also does a bunch of screen printing, and he has like a 500 square foot space in the back, and so I'm renting it out so I can have all this stuff there. So that's pretty exciting news. We actually have our own space at the BLPA, which is cool, and I'm kind of jumping into like the like a lot of people have messaged me about can we carry your merchandise? Like we see your merchandise everywhere. They're like even at hockey tournaments that aren't BLPA, we just keep seeing BLPA stuff. Can we hold it in our shop and stuff? And right now, the thing like I'm just a fucking dumb old beer leaguer that just likes to do cool shit. I don't understand the retail business per se, and they're like, oh, wholesale. This is about what we would buy a shirt for. I'm like, shit, fuck, that's what it cost me to make it. So it doesn't to me that doesn't seem very smart to make a shirt and sell it for that, and then you charge what I charge, so you make all of that. Doesn't sound smart. And so I started reaching out to like some textile manufacturers in like Peru. I don't know if you know this, but Peru has a lot of textile manufacturers, and they have
I did not.
they have a free trade agreement with North America, which is nice. So you don't have to pay taxes and duties. I don't know about to Canada, but definitely to the U.S. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. How cheap can I make it? And you're like, okay, that's a good price. How many I got to buy? But I got to buy like 2,500 at a time.
Right.
And that number doesn't scare me. But it does like, well, what am I going to do with 2,500 shirts? Like, I'm gonna have to find like 100 pro shops that'll buy 20 shirts each.
Right.
So that's kind of what's been on my plate. But I think it's possible, and it's fucking awesome if you think about like where BLPA started, as like, oh fuck, I got fired. I used to do this podcast, and it got taken away. Now I need a group for all like my friends and the people that follow the podcast to join, to where it is now is fucking in like 2.5 years. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's awesome for you for sure.
Well,
Like
and not just me. It is awesome for me.
What you got to show for it.
But it's, I mean, like it's not just me, right? Like I have to sometimes pinch myself. Like, holy fuck! Like, where do we find all these fuckers? They're just there. They're always there. They want to do shit. Like, holy fuck! They're so awesome. And so that's why, like, my wife's like, you need to compartmentalize your time. And I'm like, but like, if someone messages me at 2 a.m. and I'm up, I'm gonna talk to them. Like, that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
She wakes
Man
up
of the people.
Yeah, well, she's like, go to bed. And I'm like, well, I'm talking to, and she, go to fucking bed. And I'm like, all right, I'll go to bed. I'm like, what do you want me to do? So, but anyway, okay. We've talked about a bunch of BLPA stuff, and I'm getting ready to rail on a company for only promoting themselves, but we also do it too. I get it.
Right.
But I saw this blog post, Facebook post, and it was a blog from USA Hockey, and I sent it to you, and it's basically the beer league bucket list, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Like USA Hockey doesn't give two fucks about beer league players, except for to collect their $40 a year in
every year,
that stuff, and then they go to tournaments, and the only thing I hear about these tournaments is they collect your money and no one cares. I don't have any experience with the USA Hockey Tournament. I'm just telling you what people have told me and what I read in the comments of this stuff. But basically, it was a 50 thing list of things you should do, but like 20 of them were come to USA Hockey tournaments, sign up for a USA Hockey tournament. And you're like, okay, fuck that. Like, this is just, I get it, shameless plug, I do it too. But what would be a real beer league bucket list? Number one on the list, come to a BLPA hockey tournament. So, number two,
naturally.
Come to a draft experience tournament. Number three, find a way to get away from an organization that charges you $40 a year for nothing.
Exactly.
But you know what? For me, like, I have very limited experience. Like, I played hockey in Oklahoma, and I had to pay the dues. Whatever. I got a fucking magazine that I read while I was shitting, and the one time that it was needed by someone that I was close to, it was denied because the verdict was both referees weren't USA Hockey certified, and I went off the deep end because I was like, okay, the rink demands that we have this insurance through you, and the rink hires the officials, but the rink didn't have this, so now you're denying a guy that did all the stuff that he was supposed to do. So it really irked me. And then I was doing this podcast project, and the Anaheim Ducks invited me down for their Throwback Classic tournament. They gave me a team, brought me down, everything, and they said the only thing that you have to do is you have to buy USA Hockey insurance. And I said, what the fuck for? That's what's just required. I'm like, they're like, it's insurance in case you get hurt. I'm like, I live in Canada. I have free health care. I have a $5 million travel insurance policy. I don't need it. But that was the kick. I had to pay they were going to pay for everything else. And I was like, well, why don't you, if you're paying for everything else, just pay for this extra $50 out of principle. And
right.
They were like, no,
right.
No, we won't. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. I'll pay you $50 for the tournament, and then you pay the USA Hockey fee, so I don't have to pay it out of principle. And they weren't having any of it. So I had to pay it. And that really kind of irked me off. But other than that, USA Hockey is a thing. Definitely not. I would love to work with them. I would love for them to come to us and say, hey, listen, running hockey tournaments is hard. We know that. You want to work together. And I would consider that. But a lot of people don't like to do that, right? And I guess I probably wouldn't go hat in hand to another tournament company and say that either. But I'm here. Like, that's what I do. This is what I do full time. It's just not an afterthought. But what's your beer league bucket list, Jason? Let's talk about, I mean, I guess it's kind of putting you on the spot, but like what's the top 3 things you think, or 5 maybe, that you have to do in your beer league career?
All right. So I don't know if I have them like numbered in order, but a few things do come to mind of like things that I want, done. First one, it's funny because we were just talking about it, is I definitely at some point have to do an ODR. So Lake Louise would be perfect for that. That's just one that, like, I just want to experience it, right? Like, I just want to go out and see what that's like. And I've heard from people that it's not always fun, but I still want to experience it anyway, right? And I mean, that's like similar to like, wanting to go watch a football game at Lambeau Field. Like, it's going to be cold and shitty, and that part sucks, but the experience is worth doing the cold part.
You know, the great part about the ODRs, and not many people know this about how I started playing hockey, but obviously I was an adult, and I only started because my wife's family got me hockey gear and told me I was going to start playing. But I was I was way too self-conscious at first to go skate in front of other people. Because I didn't know how to skate, and so I spent my time in Canada that first Christmas going to the ODR in the middle of the night, and to learn how to skate. And obviously,
right.
If you've seen me skate, you know that it didn't work. But that's the great part about ODRs is like unlike a rink, you don't have to go in and pay and do all this stuff. If you can find some frozen ice, which in Canada it's like every neighborhood will have not all of them, but most of them, they maintain their own rink with boards outdoor. Some of them have lights, and then off to the side of the little rink, they just have a flooded piece where you can just kind of skate around without everything. So I spent a lot of time in the middle of the night just doing that, where maybe there was a couple people on the hockey side, but I would just skate around that. So that's the best part. That's why I think everyone needs to go to ODR, because and I think that's why when you look at like kids today, like Canadian kids, like they have so much, just the way they skate, because they go out in these ODRs where there's no rules, there's no boards, they can do whatever they want, and that's how they kind of pick up a lot of the skills that kind of translate onto the ice, right? Or
that makes sense to me.
The rink, I guess, not the ice, but yeah. So okay,
right.
So ODR is a good one. That should be on everyone's bucket list.
Yeah. The next one you would think would be easy with the amount I play, but I got to win, a Dex championship. Like I've yet to do it. Like we're calling it gold, right? Gold,
yeah.
Gold game.
Big gold.
So I have never won a Dex gold, which, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about coming to a Dex, that might be a clue on who to draft when it comes to my round. I don't know.
And fantasy,
but
and
I've
on
never
fantasy,
won one.
And on fantasy,
Yeah. Exactly.
It's hard, and it's crazy because it goes up and down. Like Randy wins a lot of them. He always gets on a good team. I don't know how he does it. But he always does.
That's the craziest thing is, like, I've been on Randy's team. I think the only time he didn't win the A championship.
Well, it's funny because people,
Randy, I'm not saying don't draft me, but I'm just sorry about that one time.
Like people will talk about that he rigs the draft in his favor, and I have to say he doesn't do the drafts. I do.
Right.
Like for a majority, I mean, I obviously I run it by them, but I set the drafts up like myself, and I've missed some and I've been good on some. And so people that say, "Oh, Randy rigs the draft," he doesn't. He can't, because I love control and I control that shit. But so winning an A championship is hard. But I've won 5 in a row. But now it's been a number of them. But it would have been 6 in a row if our Saturday, the best Saturday dynasty in Dex history, there in Las Vegas, that choked it off on Sunday. That could have been 6 in a row. But nope, we fell to Randy's team. And so
well, and that might be my curse coming in. Like you said, we were like the best team to not win a gold championship in Dex history. It's like the Limbacher curse.
Yep. And you know what Randy's secret is? And I'm going to tell everyone this. Everyone open your, this is Randy's secret. This is secret sauce. Every Friday night after the draft, what are your thoughts? What do you think? And I like to keep up, and his team's always the worst. That's what he always says. My team sucks. Going 0-5. We suck. We're not going to win. And then he wins. Like it's every single draft party night. It's the same story. We're like, here we go. 0-5. All right. Whatever you say, Randall. So yeah. But that an A championship or a gold championship, hard. It's hard to win. Hey, the 4 teams. Four teams. It's way easier because it doesn't matter what you do on Saturday. If you win your first game on Sunday, you're in the A championship or gold championship. But on a 6-team tournament, every game starts to matter, right?
Right.
And they're
make a big difference.
They're starting to be 6. So I think Omaha is going to move to 6. Boston, I think we're 3 away from selling out 4 right now. So I think we're going to have to move that one to 6. The 6-team tournaments I think they're way more fun because you don't have to play back-to-backs, which is nice. 8-team tournaments. 8-team tournaments are nice because you have a lot more break, but I think it's just I think it's a little too bit. Like you don't get to play everybody. It's a different format. You're basically playing 2 4-team tournaments basically. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's the sweet spot for sure.
It is for sure.
And then I think the last one I have would be I'd love to play hockey in Hawaii. I've heard there's ice out there. I just want to go to Hawaii in general, but it would be even cooler to play hockey out there.
I've been trying to get a tournament there for I don't know how long, and the guy that runs the rink, he wants to run every tournament himself. And
yeah,
he's like I don't want any competition. I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna take anything away from you. I'm gonna bring my own crew. Like you don't have to worry about it. Like I'm not gonna bring teams. I'm not gonna recruit teams. I'm gonna recruit individual players. I'm gonna bring them, and then we're gonna play. And that's basically where we're at. And he's seemed like he's warmed up to it, and then he goes back cold. So it is. I would love to. Might have to do a little roller hockey decks out in Hawaii. Maybe I don't know. So Hawaii would be a good one for sure.
Yeah, maybe we got to get him like we'll advertise your tournament for our tournament kind of thing going or something.
Yeah, well, maybe we
make
partner.
It a little sweeter for him.
Yeah, maybe BLPA. Yeah. I mean, we'll promote all of your. We'll promote your tournament. We'll put teams in your tournament. I'll put a BLPA team in your tournament. Multiple BLPA teams. If you'll just have to give us 10 hours of ice, or 15, whatever.
Yeah,
right.
I like it. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Any more?
I think that's it for me. Of ones that like I really really want to do.
All right. What I think everyone should do. I don't know if they do. I don't. I mean, I do watch U.S. hockey games, but not as much as I watch Flames. And a big thing up here is the Safeway score and win winners. Have you ever heard that?
I have not.
The Safeway score and win winners. Every time someone scores a goal, like Safeway gives away like groceries or like TV or whatever. But if a player scores 5 goals in a game, someone wins $1 million. Okay. So a hockey bucket list that I think everyone should do is score 5 goals in a game.
Okay.
I've never done it. Never won. I've got to 4, and the 4th one was an empty netter. So, I guess if they would have kept the net empty for the 5th one, I could have. But 5 goals is a pretty good bucket list thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think if you've never played hockey against all women, I think you should do that. It gives you a new perspective. Okay. When I first started, playing hockey, I caught on with a women's team shinny here in Calgary, and it's just like how skilled a lot of those, because I've seen people like at the rink say, "Oh, it's just women's hockey." Okay, cool. It is women's hockey. There's a lot of skilled women out there. And
for sure.
And then go ahead.
Yeah, I play in a league where it's like an invite only kind of open thing, and there's some ladies that play with us that when I watch them skate, I'm just like, I've never seen like strides and movement so smooth. It's ridiculous. Their movement so much better than even some of the best guys that we play with. Like, it's not even close.
And the physicality, like, because when the girls, because they come up, like they can't body check, or they're not supposed to, but it's still a physical game, and so they still take that into their beer leagues. And like there's a league here, and most people that listen to my last podcast would know April and Danny, and to watch those girls play against other girls, there's body contact. They're rubbing people out on the boards. Like it's not fun in games. And when they play shinny, they play that way too. And it's a different game. And I would say that everyone needs to, if you're a guy, you need to go play where maybe you're the only guy in the all female shinny or game, just so you can see a different perspective. Because I think it opens up a lot of people's eyes. And I think that, especially now, because there's such a push for equality, and obviously you saw with the World Juniors, they tried to play the under 18 guys, but they didn't play the women's, which is really shitty.
Right.
And I think I think there's a lot of virtue signaling that goes on, with podcasts like Spittin' Chicklets or that stuff, and I think they do it just for press. But I think it's really shitty, and people are like, why don't you talk about it more on your podcast? I'm like, I don't want people to think I'm saying it just because everyone else is saying it. I'm saying it because I believe it.
Right.
And it's not a political agenda or a get my ratings up by talking about female hockey. Like, I've generally played with a lot of really good female players, and I've legitimately heard people say, "Oh, girls hockey isn't that skilled or physical," and I'm like, "Fuck, you guys are fucking idiots." Yeah, like I watched Team Canada women's play the high school boys, and obviously the high school boys beat them, but like the physicality, like they weren't obviously body checking, but like the boys are like, holy shit, they're like there's physicality going, like what's going on here. So, that's a bucket list one for sure. So we got score 5 goals. I think you should go to an out of town tournament at some point, and obviously shameless plug ours, but at any of them, like local tournaments are way different than out of town tournaments. And if you'll come to one of ours, I'll show you a fucking good time, whether it's a Dex or a BLPA bash. But take the boys and go to one. And for the Dex, like everyone always says, bring a Dex to my hometown. Bring a Dex to my hometown. It's not the same. You don't get the same feeling when you still have all your shit to do. You got to go out of town to get the full experience. So I think you should do that. Oh, what's some other ones? I think if you're a forward, you should play D, and if you're a D, you should play forward, and if you're a forward and a D, you should play goal at least one game. That should be on the bucket list. You should play a goalie, and you should also.
Well, me and you are going to be the best D pair in Dex history at some point.
We haven't even stepped on the ice, and we're already being called that by ourselves. But we're gonna make the world. We're gonna shock the world. So I think that's a pretty good bucket list, and be a referee would be a good one too. Referee one game, see things from different angles, and I always say, like, no one's perfect. I've made mistakes. I've yelled at referees, but the refs don't deserve it. The refs don't need it. They're an integral part of the beer league game, whether we like it or not. We need refs just like goalies. We need goalies just like goalies. I know for a fucking fact they don't want to admit this, but they need players to play, or basically it's just them staring at each other at the opposite end of the ice, looking at each other's 15th set of pads they've got at home. So everyone needs everyone. So experience it. That's what you should do. Experience every part of the game. All right, last topic. What's the can you read the tweet that we have?
Yeah, I got the tweet from me.
Let me set it up. Let me set it up. I want to set it up.
All right.
And here we go on the NFL Talk with the BLPA Big Show. Okay, go.
All right. So Gord Miller tweeted this out, and I've seen it floating around Twitter, people talking about it. But the tweet says, one thing I would like to see change with the NHL salary cap is an exemption of some sort. And then in parentheses, he puts 25% ? For players who are drafted by a team, have been with them for 5+ years and re-signed. Teams shouldn't be punished for drafting and developing well. So I essentially think what he's saying here is, you're almost giving yourself an advantage to re-signing a player that you've drafted and developed if you're an NHL team. I'm 100% on board with this, and I'll talk a little bit more about how I feel about it. But what do you think?
So basically, I mean, at his rate, 25%. So basically, he's saying if you have a homegrown talent that's been there for 5 years and you re-sign him, so you get him to UFA and you sign him for whatever, 8 years, $10 million a year, you're actually, the cap hit's only $7.5 million a year.
Exactly.
I really like, and I like it for one reason. I'm a fan of the Flames. And I'm a fan of the players that play for the Flames. And that being said, a lot of fans do. It's the same reason why I railed with Lincoln Riley and their quarterbacks leaving, is because I connect with the players that play for the teams that I like, and so you get invested in them. You want them to do well, and you're right. It's tough. Like, look at the Tampa Bay Lightning with Kucherov and Stamkos and Braden Point. Like, they're obviously, if you give them this, more teams are going to build, I guess, dynasty-like teams. But I like that you have to draft them. Like, you can't just anyone that signs with you for 5 years, you get this. You have to draft them. You have to develop them, and then you have to do it. But I think Tampa did draft Stamkos, draft Kucherov, draft Braden Point. So that would be a moot point at that point. But like the Flames, like, we have Johnny Gaudreau, right? And Johnny Gaudreau, it seems like he's probably going to leave after this year because he has no reason to to stay. I don't say no reason. And maybe he likes Calgary. His wife's here, but he can chase the same dollars in a big market like Philadelphia where he's from, or New York where he's from, and it gives an advantage to like the small market teams, which Calgary Flames spin to the cap, but they're still a small market. Where if instead of Philly can only afford to pay him $10 million because that's the cap, but if Calgary could pay him that $10 million plus 25%, that's probably enough to get him to stay. Like, it's a smart business move, right? And so I also think there should be things done like it really sucks at places like Texas don't have a state sales tax. They don't have a state tax. So, they don't have –
Tennessee doesn't either.
Yeah, so the players that play there, they make more money. So where are people going to want to go? They want to go to where they can make more money. And if the tax burden is less and drastically less, then they're probably going to be looked on more favorably. So I would like to see maybe even credits like that where the tax, maybe – and I don't know how they'd work it. I'm not a tax guru. I hate paying taxes. I know that they need, but I think that there's things like you could do like that to keep these players that fans are invested in playing for the teams that drafted them and brought them up. And you look at like I hate one rule is the NCAA rule where you can go to college for 4 years and then be basically a free agent. That sucks, and it sucks because of look at like Adam Fox for the Rangers. He won the Norris Trophy. Well, he was drafted by the Flames, and they developed it. No,
Flames,
yeah, he was drafted by the Flames. He said he wanted to go to New York. The Flames were able to trade his rights to Carolina for a decent. I don't even remember what is that. Did he go with the Dougie? No, who did he go with? He went with oh fuck! Now I can't even. I can see their faces. It's the defenseman Noah Hannafin and the best Flames forward. Now I'm losing my mind. But two number 5 overall picks, or so, I don't know the exact thing. But he got traded there in a deal, and then he got traded to New York, which is where he wanted to go. And he was only able to do that. And it's Elias Lindholm, by the way. But he was only able to do that because there was this loophole where if you go to school for 4 years, then you can become a free agent. I think they should close stuff like that as well. Because I keep going back to Johnny Gaudreau because he's the Flames superstar. He did the same thing. He went to Boston College. The big thing was like, oh shit, he's 4 years of school. Is he going to just bail on the Flames? We found this gym in the 4th round, and and so I think there's ways that an NHL can do that to make fan bases, stay more connected with their team. Because at some when players are just leaving, then that's what I fear for college football is that now that there's basically like the portal. That players are kind of moving around willy-nilly. You kind of get like, well, I'm not going to put too much into this team because this guy's going to be gone next year anyway. It's just kind of a tough look, right? So, and if you want to increase fan engagement, that's what you have to do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I think, so first off, I'm not a Lightning fan, right? And we can talk about the Lightning cap circumvention, whatever you want to call it, deal or whatever. But essentially, the Lightning are now kind of almost being punished to the point where they can't sign the talent that they drafted because they did too good of a job, essentially. I drafted so many good players that now I have to get rid of them because I can't afford to pay them all because of the cap. So I think this rewards a team like that. And they're not my team, but I would want that for my team if my team was drafting that well, right? And I think that also gives you as a fan an incentive to kind of demand better from your GM or whoever, your front office, to say, you got to get better because there's these, you got to get better at drafting because there are these advantages to drafting well and growing your talent. And so I love it. I absolutely love it. I think that should be a thing. And then again, I am a Nashville fan. So like you said, Nashville generally now spends to the cap. We have a lot of cap space this year just because of a few things that have happened. But in years past, they've been spending to the cap. But at the same time, it's still a small market team, right? We're not as desirable as a Rangers or a Chicago or a
Tampa,
Toronto or LA. Tampa,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I love it. I think it doesn't hurt anyone all it does is give an incentive to be better at your job as a GM in drafting. And to me, that's win-win for everybody.
Hey, and just I want to know, Tampa Bay is not getting punished for being too good. Tampa Bay is collecting on some karma, bad karma that they have brought on themselves. Because in 2004, that fucking puck was in. The Calgary Flames Stanley Cup champions, 2004 Calgary Flames. So let's just go ahead and all agree on that. Let's give Iggy his cup. Iggy has a cup. Send it to him. Put his name on the plate. Let him have his day, for fuck's sakes. And if not, then take your fucking karma, Tampa. I hope it fucking bites you in the ass. Fuck.
Calgary Flames. Well, they did win back-to-back cups. So when I say punish, I think it's a little tongue-in-cheek because they're winning championships. But at the same time, it is a real issue for them. They unfortunately have been drafted way too well over the past 8 years or so.
But that begs the question. If your team can win one cup, how long would you think for winning one cup? What's it worth to you? How many years of your team being horrible to win one cup?
So as someone who, and I genuinely believe this, I do not think, and I'm a pessimist when it comes to sports, so I'm a little dramatic. I do not think I will see the Preds win a cup in my lifetime. I really don't.
Yeah.
So I would trade one cup now for them missing the playoffs for the rest of my life. 100%.
Missing the playoffs? Like missing forever. That's
forever. I just want the one cup.
Yeah, I've been like obviously my Flames 1989 and 2004. I wasn't yet a hockey fan in 2004. But we do have two Stanley Cups in my lifetime. I became a hockey fan in 2006. We had some good teams, but we've been out of the first round once since I've been a fan. I was in the building when that happened, by the way, which is nice. Or was it? I don't think it was the clinching game, but there were 2 games in that series that I was there. I was pretty stoked. But nonetheless, I think I would definitely I guess it is hard because if your team's never won one, well, I've already given 2006 to 2021. I've already given 15 years.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So for one, I would give a fucking boatload. Are you a fan of a team that's won a championship?
Yeah, so my whole family's from Pittsburgh, so I grew up a Steelers fan. I don't know it. I don't know if I'm a huge Steelers fan now. I root for them a little bit. I mostly watch football now just to gamble. I just don't care that much about who wins. But I was obviously I've seen the Steelers win a couple of Super Bowls.
Okay. Yeah, I've been a Braves fan my whole life. Obviously, Chipper Jones, Nicker Jones, good, all that good stuff. So obviously, I got to see him win the one in '95. A lot of division titles. So I was king of the NL East for a while, but they got to win one this year, which was nice. But I wasn't as invested as I'd been in the past. Especially, I got bummed out when my hero retired. But what are you gonna do? Everyone retires at some point. But at the end of the day, he still hit, 275 with 15 home runs the year he retired. He should have just kept going, But, that's just for, me. I don't know how his body was holding up. If his body was like mine, good thing he fucking retired. But nonetheless, it is tough as a fan whose team doesn't win world championships. And so I guess that's the question, our listeners, okay, let's say all the teams start at 0 right now. All the teams start at 0 wins. What would you give up, right? Even the fans of Tampa, how long you're spoiled right now, but how long would you feel okay with your team being shitty, missing the playoffs to win your next Stanley Cup? I think teams that are spoiled are going to say, oh, only a few years. Right, but people I
agree.
Like you and me, we're well, fuck, bud. Get the back of the fucking bus here because we've been waiting for 15 fucking years.
Exactly. Yeah. You got Tampa fans who have won they won the Super Bowl, they won Stanley Cup back to back. Their
Tampa
baseball
Bay,
team's good.
Yeah, fuck.
Boston's the same way, right? Like Boston's constantly winning championships in various sports. But yeah, those guys are probably not going to give up much, but they don't get it.
University of Alabama. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what? Like, I get it. Like, there was a time when OU won like 55 straight games back in the 50s. So, Oklahoma's been good, but there's never been a dynasty like Alabama. Like, and I know they haven't won every national championship, but they're always there. They're always, and it's just, like I can remember the time Oklahoma beat Alabama in a bowl game, and basically they said, we didn't care about the fucking bowl game, but what a national title. And you're like, fuck. Fuck sakes, bud. Like, and so it's, I mean, if fucking Trevor Knight as quarterback beat Alabama, which Trevor Knight's not a good quarterback. But, yeah, I mean, you talk to Alabama fans, well, okay, Alabama fans, like, how long would you, stand for your team being shitty before, like, oh, just a couple years. But there was a time where, like, fucking Don Shula's son was their coach, and they fucking sucked, right?
Yeah.
So, same with OU. Like, when I was in high school, like you could get tickets for $5 because we had fucking Howard Schnellenberger and John Blake, and they sucked. But now, like if you say, okay, OU, like how many 8-win seasons would you go through, to get a national title? It's like, well, we don't want to win 8 games, So, yeah. But anyway, anything else to chat about before we get off today? Because it's still fucking cold in Calgary. It's warmer, but I'm in my car in my garage. And I don't have shoes on, and my feet are frozen.
No, yeah, we need to get you inside and get those feet warmed up.
Little piggies. Hey, I forgot to do this at the front of the show, but this show is brought to you by HockeyWolf.com. Ow, 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 ow.
Ow, 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 ow.
Listen, I've made a mistake. I'm sorry, Hockey Wolf. We should have done this at the front of the show. Because I like to learn from my mistakes, I'm not going to cut this out and put it at the front of the show. I'm just going to read it now at the end, and if people listen, they can hear about Hockey Wolf and how great they are. Jason's got all these state gloves. Every state he plays in, he's buying one of these state gloves from Hockey Wolf. And here, are you a CCM guy or are you a Warrior guy?
I'm a Warrior guy, but CCMs are pretty close. Like they're not that far off from the Warrior Alphas.
I only ask because Hockey Wolf is going to start making Warrior gloves. From what I understand, I actually have a conversation with Hockey Wolf tomorrow. But go check out Hockey Wolf. They're great to us. They're great for beer leaguers. They're just beer leaguers like us trying to make the game more affordable. So go check them out, hockeywolf.com. Ow, 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 ow.
Ow, ow, ow.
And I guess I didn't even tell people where to find us in social media. I was so fucking excited about recording today. But you can find us at the BLPA. You can find him at Beer League Jason. Find me at Nicker Jones on Twitter, the Nicker Jones on Instagram. Find us on Pinterest. That's where we do shit. Check out BLPA.com. All of our stuff, all of our tournaments. Boston, about to sell out 4. Should we go to 6? Let's go, Boston. And other than that, I got nothing else to add. Jason, anything else?
Nope, that's it, man.
All right, be good or be good at it.